Hello friends, this is Shelly from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you so much for joining me in this tutorial. We are going to make this beautiful, beautiful scarf. It has such pretty texture to it and the colorway is absolutely gorgeous. I am using Loops and Threads Ombré Hues yarn, and man, do I ever love this yarn. This particular colorway is plum, periwinkle, and white. I'm also going to use my 40 needle Sentro, but you can use whatever machine you want. You can make whatever width of scarf that you like. Just follow the same patterning that I'm using in this video. But I'm choosing to use the 40 needle Sentro because I love the width of the scarves that come from that machine. Okay, and you will also find on my channel this matching beanie. I posted these two videos at the same time. You're going to want to pick up 2 balls of yarn so that you can make both of these projects, and in doing so you will also have quite a bit left over from your second ball. Actually, I'm quite surprised. So once you have your yarn and you have your machine set up, we're going to get right into this video. You will find the yarn particulars in the description box below, as well as a link to my Facebook group. I would love for you to come over and join that group if you haven't done so already, and show me your projects that you make from my channel as well. And friends, I just think you're going to love this set. So please grab yourself some yarn, get your machine, and let's go ahead and make it. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. I would appreciate that so much. All right, friends, let's have some fun together. All right, so if you have your machine set up, we're going to begin. I'm going to use my 40 needle Sentro. I haven't used it for a long time. I should probably dust it before I put her on camera. But I love the size of a scarf that this machine makes, and the size of a headband that this machine makes. If you don't have a 40 needle Sentro, you might want to get one. It's one of those machines that I just love, and I don't use it nearly enough. We are going to bring our last white and our first black needle in line with our yarn feeder. If I can see those numbers. This is actually, let me see here. I cannot read them for the life of me, but I believe that this is actually the first one and this is the last one, but I want to have the black as my first needle. And so that's how I am doing it. And I took a black permanent marker, which I need to do again, and I'm going to mark that divider between the last white and the first black. I don't pay attention to these little numbers here. Maybe it is a number 1. I don't know what it is because I can't read it. My eyes are not good enough to see those tiny little numbers. I don't even know why they bother putting them on there. But I'm going to use the black one. So if you're using a different one, if you're using the white one as your first needle, then that's absolutely fine. But we're going to take our waste yarn, a color that's different from your working yarn so that you can see the stitches easily when we close the ends. We're going to cast on in front of that first black for me, behind, in front, behind, in front, behind, and in front, all the way around. I'm just letting it slip through my fingers. I'm not putting any tension at all on it. And it's going to go behind that last white into my yarn guide. And I have the tensioner there, but I'm going to just hold it in my hands, and we're going to go slowly for the first round, making sure those little loops drop down over the 2 little pink teeth before that needle picks up the yarn and pulls it down. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to knit 7 rows. Now I can speed it up just a little bit. I don't know if this waste yarn that I grabbed is long enough to do 7 rows, but if not, I'll do what I can, because I'm using one that I've used before and it might have come off my 22 needle. Not too sure. Just let me check it out. Okay, we can do a couple more. Maybe it was my 46. All right, I'm going to let this be my last one because I don't think I have enough to go around again. I'm going to set my row counter to 0. I'm going to watch for that black divider to come around. I'm going to pop that in front of my yarn guide. Then I'm going to cut off my waste yarn tail. Yeah, I wouldn't have had enough to go around, so that was a good call. And we are going to go ahead and take our working yarn, but we're going to put that tail of our waste yarn in between the last white, the first black. Then we're going to take our working yarn and we're going to pop it into our yarn feeder, and then down in between the last white, the first black. Let's knit 4 needles. As we do so, you can see that these loops are over these little red dividers. I always help them down. Then I take both ends of my working yarn and I tug on it, and that snugs up my tension there, so that when I take my project off the machine, these first few needles are just as nicely tensioned as the rest. Okay, I'm going to hold my yarn between my fingers like that, so I can feel if I'm actually going to put it in that the smallest tensioner as well. And then underneath that tensioner, I'm going to hold it just with some extra support. That way I can feel if there's knots that are coming, or if they're, if I'm at the end of my ball, etc. I always like to have that control and to be able to feel it. And then we're just going to find the right speed that our machine likes in order for those little loops to have enough time to drop down over those pink teeth. If you go too fast and they stick to the white needle, and like this one here, it's not going to drop down over the white teeth. So what would happen there is I would get a tucked stitch. So I'm going to take my loom pick, I'm going to pop that over the pink teeth, and I'm going to just help this along for the first, I'm going to go slower and help it along for the first few rows, just so that I can get enough weight on this piece here that's pulling it down. I can go ahead and add weights as well if I need to, because this is a fairly light yarn. It's only a 3-weight yarn. But you want to find the right speed and the right tension for your yarn, so that when you're knitting, the needles will pick it up and take it down, and that loop is over both of those two pink teeth. That's the thing. I'm always watching in this area, always watching my needles to make sure that loop goes down over the pink teeth. Okay? And you'll get a feel for what the right speed is and the right tension, and then you can go a little bit faster once you determine that. I think for this particular project, I'm going to go ahead and add my weights. So I have some claw weights that I'm going to just add just until I can get about 50 or 60 rows done or so. And I'm going to just place those all around. You can get these claw weights on Amazon. I will warn you, they're not cheap, but they are the best to use. I mean, you can see, I don't know if you can see the back of my machine in the camera, but you can see here that it pulls. If you put it into the 3-weight yarn, it's really heavy and it's going to pull some loops there, but it's not going to damage it. Once you take it off, it'll be fine, so don't worry about that. Just set it in there the best that you can. Those claw weights will add enough weight that it will help pull those little loops down over those pink teeth. And it's going to help you prevent tucked stitches. So you're going to go until you get 20 rows, okay? So keep going until you knit 20 rows, just like this, and then we're going to change our patterning, and I'll see you then, okay? So 20 rows, meet me back. All right, so I have my 20 rows done, and I'm going to go ahead and remove these claw weights. Not going to use them anymore. Take them off. They served me well. I'm going to set my counter to 0, and from this point we are going to start our continual patterning. Okay, so we're going to take our yarn out of the yarn guide, put it into our hands, and we're going to do 1 row of lace. I'm going to bring up the first 2 needles. Now listen to carefully how I'm going to do this, because I have tried so many times to change my camera and my lighting so that I can have this piece at the bottom of the screen for you, but I can't, in my setting that I have and with the type of equipment that I have, I can't get a good angle with the good lighting. So my apologies. You're going to have to just try to follow me as best you can, and I'm going to explain it as best I can. I'm going to bring up these first 2 needles, and I'm going to go behind those 2 needles with my yarn strand, then around in front of both needles, then back behind both needles. So I've wrapped it in a little loop. Then I'm going to move my handle, bring up the very next 2 stitches. I'm going to go behind those 2 needles, in front of the 2 needles, and back behind the 2 needles, making a circle. And bring up the next 2. I'm going to go behind, in front, and behind. And I'm not pulling tight, because then your next row you'll have hard time. So just nice and snug against the needles, but don't pull tight like this. Just let it fall naturally. Bring up the next 2. You're going to go behind those 2 needles, in front and behind. And you're going to bring up the next 2. This is row 1 of our patterning. Behind, in front, behind. Bring up the next 2. Behind, in front, and behind. And the next two, behind, in front, and behind. And you're going to do this all the way around for row 1. I love doing this stitch. I really, really love it. I find it very relaxing. Once you get in the groove of how to hold the yarn with your hands, you can go at a pretty good clip actually. Make sure that it's loose coming under your ball. And I'm going to watch for that black divider to come around so I know that I'm getting close to the end of my row. And here we go. I see that divider. I have 2 more to do. I'm going to wrap those 2. I'm going to move that ahead so that the white and the black are in front of the yarn feeder. I'm going to come with my yarn tail in between the white and the black. I'm going to pop it into that smallest tensioner, and I'm going to slowly go around for row 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 4 rows of straight knit. You want to make sure those loops are dropping down over those 2 pink teeth. And because of the way we wrapped, make sure you go slow for this first round, watching as every needle passes by. And there we go. Success. Oh, this one, I need to help this one a little bit because it's going to split on me, but I'm just going to take my pick. I'm going to lift that loop up with my pick and pop it down over those 2 pink teeth so that it's not split. Okay. This is row 3. And row 4. And one more, row 5. So I did 1 row of lace, 4 rows of straight knit. And I see that black divider coming around. I'm going to stop it at the yarn feeder. I'm going to take my yarn out again, and we're going to repeat that. Bring up the first 2 needles. We're going to wrap behind, in front, behind. The next 2, behind, in front, and behind. Bring up the next 2, behind, in front, and behind. And the next 2, all the way around. This is row 6. We reset our counter to 0 after we did our first 20 rows. We want our project to have 20 rows of straight knit at the beginning and 20 at the end. And so that's why we're not counting that. We started our row counter at 0, and we're going to do that for every section because I feel it makes it a lot easier. Okay, so we are wrapping row 6. Behind, in front, behind for 2 needles. Bring up the next 2. I see that black divider coming around. I have 1 more set. I'm going to pop that into the yarn guide, making sure that strand goes between the last white and the first black. I'm going to put that in the smallest tensioner, and I'm going to go slowly for this first round, making sure sometimes you got to help those loops down over the pink teeth, just like this. I probably don't have to do that, but I'm just giving you a visual as what you do if you're having problems with them dropping down. Okay, there we go. And this is the second row of straight knit, and we do 4 rows. This is row 9. And row 10. So far in our repeat patterning, we've done 1 row of lace, 4 rows of straight knitting, 1 row of lace, 4 rows of straight knitting. We're going to do 1 more row of lace. This is row 11. Friends, go around, finish wrapping your 11th row, and when you get to the end, I'll meet you back. All right, so again, to recap, we started with our 20 rows, which is what we want to have at the beginning and the end of our project, but the repeat patterning starts here, where we do 1 row of lace, 4 rows of straight knit, 1 row of lace, 4 rows of straight knit, 1 row of lace, 20 rows of straight knit. So I'm going to keep going until my counter gets to 31. The 11th row was a lace row, and I'm going to do 20 rows of just circular knitting like this. There we go. My Sentros love this yarn, so it's not a problem once you get past that lace row. And I'm gonna go till my counter says 31. That will give me 20 rows of straight knitting. So I'm gonna go till row 31. See you when I get there. So now from this point on, we're going to forget about this last piece here because this is just this first piece here because this is just the beginning of our project. What we're going to repeat is the lace and the 20 rows. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 sets of lace patterning. We're going to do lace 4 rows, lace 4 rows, lace 20 rows. So starting with the lace now instead of this, we're going to take our yarn out of our feeder. We're going to bring up the first 2 needles. We're going to wrap them. This is now going to be row 1 on our counter. Wrap. Wrap. All the way around. Okay, I have 1 more set to wrap. This is row 1 now on our counter. I'm going to pop that in there. We're going to now knit 4 rows. Pop that into your tensioner. Knit 4 rows. So this is now row 2 on my counter. And once I pass this black divider, this is now row 3. Four and 4 rows of straight knit will take me to row 5. So I'm going to do 1 more. Our counter should say row 5. We've done 1 row of lace, 4 rows of straight knit. We're going to now do another row of lace, another 4 rows of straight knit, another row of lace. I'll see you back when you have those 3 sections done. So lace, 4 rows, lace. All right, so concentrating on starting with the lace, I did lace, knit 4, lace, knit 4, lace. My counter should be at 11. Now what I'm going to do is pop my yarn strand back into my guide there, and I'm going to knit 20 rows. That will take us to 31 on our counter. And this is the section we're going to repeat. Okay, so let me just get through this first round here. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm knitting 20 rows like this, which will take me to 31 on my row counter. And then we are going to, well, you know what, I'm going to do it right now. You're going to pick up your yarn. If it's touching the table, you're going to pick it up and you're going to roll it into a donut. This is going to be gorgeous, you guys. You're going to roll it into a donut, and that will help you keep the tension even around your barrel here as you knit. Okay, keep going. We're working on our section that has 20 rows of straight knit, and on our counter, that will take us to row 31. Just working on row 31. I'm going to have that black divider stop in front of my yarn guide, and I know I have finished that section, okay? So now take a little pen and paper and tally 1. You've done 1 row, 1 section of patterning that we're going to now repeat 7 more times. So the patterning that we are repeating is starting with lace. Lace, knit 4, lace, knit 4, lace, knit 20. So reset your counter. Every time you start again, trust me, it'll make it easier. And you're going to do lace, knit 4, lace, knit 4, lace, knit 20. Continue that 7 more times, okay? So when you keep getting longer and longer, take your piece and just roll it up. just like that, okay? We are going to continue that. So I'm going to take my yarn out of my feeder. I've got my counter set to 0. I'm going to do lace all the way around, knit 4, lace, knit 4, lace, knit 20. Every time you do a section, it will be 31 rows. Do it 7 more times for 8 times in total, not counting that first section that we started with, okay? And we are going to have fun doing it like we are. You're gonna have fun doing it. It's it doesn't take long, and this lace pattern is so absolutely gorgeous. I have lots of different things on my channel now using it, and so you go ahead and check that out and see what else there is. But this scarf, I think, is gonna just be absolutely gorgeous when it's done. So go ahead, friends, finish 7 more sections of 31 rows, and when you're done that, meet me back. Oops, I'm at the ends there. Under there, into there. I'm going to knit my 4 rows. And I'm going to continue on from there. Have fun, my friends. All right, so I just finished my 3rd lace, and that takes me to row 11. So I did lace, 4 rows, lace, 4 rows, lace. I'm on row 11. Now I know I need to do 20 rows of straight knit to take me to row 31. And that section of patterning will be done. I'm at row 31, so I finished another section of patterning. That's the second set of 8 sections that we're going to do. And so mark that off on your tally sheet that you've done 2 sections now. You're going to set your row counter to 0. You're going to give this a little roll, and you're going to start that over again. You're going to wrap 2 for the lace all the way around. You're going to knit 4. Wrap 2 for the lace row, knit 4. Do another lace row, then knit 20. Section 3 will be done. Repeat that set until you have 8 sections in total, okay? So I'm going to just go off camera now. I'm going to complete this, and when I get to my 8th set from where we started counting, I am going to see you back and recap, okay? I hope you enjoy the process, you guys. It's always so great to create new patterns and to see how beautiful they are when you're done. And this yarn, you've got to get it because it is so gorgeous how it changes colors. Now, I just want to make a note before I set you free, is that I am going to run out of this ball that I'm using because I took a ball that was partially used. And so on the color that I am going to run out on, I'm going to find the end of that color on my new ball and start from there so that my ombre stays consistent right through, okay? So whatever color I end off on here, that's the color I'm going to find in my new ball, and I'm going to go to the end of that color and start from there. So now I've done my first row of lace in this setting, in this grouping, and I'm going to do 4 straight knit, then lace, 4 straight knit, lace, 20 straight knit. How did that go, friends? I had this all in a donut, but I unraveled it because I want to recap the whole thing with you. We started out with 20 rows of straight knit. Then we did 1 row of lace, 4 rows of knit, 1 row of lace, 4 rows of knit, 1 row of lace. I'm calling it lace, but it was wrapping too, okay? And then we did our 20 rows of straight knitting. Okay, so our pattern starts at the top of the lace. That first 20 rows at the beginning there, right there, is not what we count in our patterning. Then we started our repeat patterning after this section here. And we did 1 row of lace, 4 rows of knit, 1 row of lace, 4 rows of knit, 1 row of lace, 20 rows of knit. And then we repeated that 7 more times. So we have, this is our first section of the repeat pattern. This is our second. This is our third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, and this is my 8th. Okay, and you can see we are ending off on 20 rows of knit, which matches the 20 rows that we started at the beginning here. It's 20 rows at the beginning, then we start our patterning, lace 4, lace 4, lace 20. And we're going to do that then for 9 times. That would be counting as 1, 2, 3, 9 times, and then ending with 20. But that's how we got this beautiful scarf to take shape. And now we're going to take our waste yarn. We're going to cut off this little yarn tail, pop it in between the last white and the first black. We're going to take our waste yarn, pop it back into that divider and between the last white and the first black. And this is a 4 weight yarn that I'm using. I'm going to make sure I go slow. I'm going to add my waste yarn, making sure those loops all drop down. I don't want to tuck anything at this stage. Don't want to tuck your last row. That would not be good. Okay, and there we go. Now I've got my waste yarn added, and it's so much thicker. You can feel the difference. It's a 4 weight. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to knit as many rows as I'm comfortable with. For me, I do 7. Or whenever I run out of this waste yarn. Coming up on the end of the 7th row. So there we go. I'm going to cut this off. I actually had a little bit left over. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to pop it in between the last white, the first black. And then I'm going to just rotate my handle till my barrel circulates completely twice. And on the second time, it starts to let go. So there you go. You're going to grab that end because that is the end we're going to close first, because this end unravels very easily. So we want to close this end first. So mark that with something if you're going to set it aside. And I'm going to move my machine, and then we're going to come back and close the ends. All right, friends, I have my piece off the machine. We're going to stretch it out in a bit, but we're going to take care of this end first so that this doesn't start to unravel. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to find your working or your waste yarn tail here, and you're going to take your stitch marker and you're going to put it in that loop that that waste yarn is coming out of, making sure that your tail is outside of your work. Then to the left of that, you'll see this top loop here. It's attached to this working yarn tail. We're going to put our stitch marker in there. That's stitch 40. Make sure your tail is outside of your work. We know that there are 40 stitches on here. I thought I used a really good contrasting yarn, not contrasting, but one that you could see good against, but it might be hard for you to see. I hope not. But we're going to count around to stitch 20 and 21 because we know that's exactly the side on this side. So I'm going to start counting where this stitch marker is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. I'm going to put my hook under 21. Those two are the very far side, okay? It's under 21. I'm going to count that as number 1. I'm going to go up to 20, pick that up and put it through that loop that's on my hook. Now I've worked 2 stitches. I'm going to go down to the bottom here, grab this one, put it through the loop on my hook. I'm using a 5mm hook. That's 3 up to the top, 4 down to the bottom, 5, 6, and we're going to go back and forth like that. Make sure you count, because if you miss any of these, once you take off your waste yarn, you will drop a row. And I'm going to keep going back and forth like this till all the stitches are picked up. And up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top, down to the bottom. And if you're new, you should be counting. I've done this a million times. I know I'm not going to miss one, so I quit counting. But when you get to the end, this bottom one will be 39 and this top one will be 40 if you've hit every stitch and you've done exactly what I'm doing. This will be 39, that'll be 40. If it's not, then I would double check my work, make sure that you didn't miss a loop, because you'll be very sad if you did. So I'm going to just keep going till I get to the end here. Very, very easy. Almost there. Picking them up, putting them through the loop that's on my hook. And picking it up, loop that's on my hook. Here we go, I have one here. When you get to the end, it starts to get a little bit tighter. That's where these bobby pins are beautiful, because you can pick up on it, get underneath there, then take it out. Work the stitch, pick it up, get underneath there, pop it out, work the stitch. Then you're going to take your tail from your working yarn, yarn over, pull it through that last loop, push that down with your thumb to knot it in place, and then we're going to remove our waste yarn. You can go ahead and take your needle. Let me just grab one here. Needle, 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 where are you? Take your needle, pop this little tail into the seam there, right where we've crisscrossed there, and come out your work. Put your finger in that loop, because you don't want to bury the whole thing. We're just getting it out of the way so that when we remove our waste yarn, it does not tangle around that yarn tail. We're gonna pull it out once we get this off. So then you just pull off your yarn, wind it around, and if it's in good shape, you can reuse it. And there we go. Set that aside. Take that little loop, pull it out. You can put that back on your needle. I'm going to just weave it through a couple of these stitches at the top here. Just like that. Pull it through. I don't want to pull in it because I still want a pointy end there. And then I'm going to go the other way just a little bit. And go down into my work, in between the two layers. Bring it out. Cut it off. One end is done. Let's now take this beautiful scarf and let's unravel it, because the other end is secure. It's not going to start coming loose. And that's from the beginning of our work. Oh, you guys, if you could just feel this. Well, you are. If you bought the same yarn and you are at the same stage as I am, then you know how soft and beautiful this is. Oh my goodness, it's just gorgeous. There we go. So I'm going to start from this end, and I'm going to just stretch it all the way down. Going widthwise. You know, if you don't have a 40 needle Sentro and you can afford to get one, I would encourage you to. It makes such a beautiful width for a scarf, and it's my favorite for earwarmers. And yeah, I'm sad I haven't used it more, because when I do, I absolutely love it. Now we're going to pull it lengthwise. Just like that. And like that. And friends, hold on a second. Let me get myself together here. Look at how gorgeous this is. Like this, I'm not kidding you. Like, this is gorgeous. If you're watching this video trying to decide whether you're going to buy the yarn to make one, and because I encourage you to watch the video through once and then watch it again as you make it, you're going to want to go out and get this exact same yarn. It is absolutely gorgeous. Let's take the beginning of our work. Our waste yarn will now be going up. That's how you know if this is the beginning or the end of your project too. Your waste yarn goes in when it's at the end of your project. It's up when it's at the beginning of your project. Not that, well, it kind of matters, but because this side doesn't unravel. This side, you have to take the top layer out for it to come apart, which I love. We're going to pull on that loop of this waste yarn. And when you pull on it, you'll see that this is the stitch it's coming through. This is the last stitch that is in, well, it's the first stitch in the row, but it's the stitch where this waste yarn is coming through. See if I pull on that again, you can see right there. Take your working yarn, you go to the left and you take your working yarn and you look right to the left of it. It's hard to see with this thinner yarn, but there we go. So here's my working yarn strand, tail. Here's my tail. It's right beside that loop, and you're going to take that. That's loop number 40. We're going to take our crochet hook. We're going to count around to 20 and 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. There are 2 very side stitches. I'm going to go under 21. That counts as number 1. Going to go up to 20, put it through the loop. That's 2. Go down to the bottom. 3 to the top. 4 to the bottom. 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way across to the other end. 9, 10, 11, 12. When you get to the end, I'll meet you there. I'm at the end. This is 39. I'm going to pull up on there, get underneath, pop out my stitch marker, pull up on 40. It was number 1 when we counted, but it's 40 when we're working it. There we go. Yarn over, pull through. Now what we have to do is we have to take off this first row of waste yarn. First of all, what we can do is pop in this little tail, get it out of the way, into the center, out the side, put your finger in there to get a loop. Make sure you don't pull it all the way through or you'll have to search for it. We're going to roll up this edge until we get to the very top row. You know you're at the top when you grab both sides on the side of the stitch, and you can rock that through the stitch. Then you're going to pinch the stitch, pull out the tail. Go down about 10 or 12 stitches, do the same thing, pinch the stitch, pull out the top row. And we're going to go around again. You can put quite a few stitches in between. There it is, pinch the stitch, pull out the top. I'm pinching the stitch or I'll get it all knotted in there. And I'm going to go around to this other end. Here's my last one. I'm going to pull it. Once you pull it, you can then remove your waste yarn. I'm going to go ahead and do that and wind it up as I go, and I'll see you when I have it off. Once your waste yarn is off, you can pull out that loop, pop this onto your needle, and you're going to hide it just like you did on the other end. And there you go. This is so beautiful. Like, look at these colors. I'm going to show you and then we're going to measure it together. Like, look how it just graduates in color and then it comes back down. There we go. Oh man, you guys, it's just so very, very beautiful. I'm going to just measure this for you. And it is 5 inches wide, okay? And for the length, I'm going to put it in half. And of course, when it's hanging, it'll be a little bit heavier, which means it's a little bit longer. And we're going to measure it in half. And I'm down to, oh, maybe I should do this off camera. I like to do it with you. There we go. I'm gonna hold this. well, if that was down there, it's 36, so 72 inches long, and that's unstretched. Of course, when it's around your neck and there's weight on it, it's going to be a little bit longer, but that's 72 inches long, just like that. We're going to now work on our edge. For the edging, we are going to take a piece of yarn. We're going to put it on our needle. We're going to smooth this out. We're going to take our two corners and we're going to move them up to this row where our lace begins. So we're going to take them, we're going to fold them in half, just like that. See what I've done? So I've got a point here. These two edges come together and we're going to bring them right up to the top of that section. I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to pop it in there, grab this side. I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to tie it off in a knot just so that it stays secure, leaving a long enough end to hide. There we go. I'll hide that later. But I'm going to just put this direction. And what we're going to do is we're going to seam up this little edge till we get to a point. So I'm going to just go underneath. I'm going to pick up and go across and pick up. I'm going to come over and I'm going to do that same thing. Go into that next. I'm just going to pick up 2 bars, just the very edge, and I'm going to pull it. And to the next one. We're going to be very careful. And we're going to pull that. And we're going to work our way up to the corner. Pulling that, and then we're going to seam up here too, but I want to get this part done first. Just like this. And I'm going to pull it. There we go. We're going to do this exact same thing to the other side, making sure that it's the same side. So when we sew it, we want it to be on this side of the work, not on that side, or you're going to have your points, your seams not matching. You'll be sewed on, your scarf will have it sewn on one side and not on it'll be the opposite side that it's sewn on the other side. You know what I'm just saying? That didn't make sense. And we're going to keep going just till we get down to the end here. Got my point coming up. I think I can get one more stitch there and there. And then I'm going to just grab that there. And I'm going to make my little knot. I'm not making it tight because I want to make sure that my point is nice. There we go. So from there, I just knotted it off. I think I did twice, but let me do one more in case I didn't. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to hide it between the two layers. There we go. Cut that one off. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to hide it between the 2 layers. Then we're going to take another piece of yarn. And we're going to sew it across the top here. Make sure your point stays your point. You don't want it to be folding in like that. So push down on your point here and then just push up on this a little bit. You're going to go into the side there. You're going to tie this off. I'll hide this little end later. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to pick up a couple bars there, like as though you're doing a mattress stitch. I always like to have the wide part of the V going away to the left. And from there, we're going to just go up to the top here, Here's where our lacing starts, right in here. You can easily see where that last row is. I'm going to go over to here though. Where that last row of stitching is, right below the laces. Just pick that up like that. Then come back up here. Here's where I came out. I'm going to go back into there, pick up 1, 2, and I'm going to go up and take that next row. You might have to go over a row and a half just because you've picked up 2 stitches. Just line it up the best that you can. Okay, I'm going to go back in, pick up 2, or you can just pick up 1 if you want. Whatever works best for you. And I'm going to pick up 1 bar. I'm just eyeballing it here to try to get it. I'm not going to pull this really tight. I just want it to look like it's part of the piece there without it looking any gathered at all. If you pull too tight, you'll get a gathering in there, and you don't want that. So I'm just going to straighten this out, eyeball this, and it's going up to this stitch here. So I'm going to pick that up, and I'm going to do that right across. Pick up another 2, smooth this out. See where that's coming? It's coming on this stitch here, so I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to do that right across. Then I'm going to knot off, hide my ends, and we're going to have a beautiful angled edge there. When you do the other side, you're going to do exactly the same thing. I want you to follow. This is the side you sewed on. I want you to follow this down so it doesn't get twisted. Follow it down just like this. And this is the side you're going to sew it on. Okay? I don't want you to sew it on the other side and then your points are going to be, your seam is going to be on opposite sides from each other. So we're going to follow it down so it's the same side, and you're going to do your sewing on this piece, this end, exactly how we're doing this end. See, I'm following it down the same side. That's very important. Now I'm going to go across. I'm going to finish sewing across. Then I'm going to knot off, hide my ends, do the second side, and then I'll see you back. All right, so when you have both of them done, it should look like that on that side, and it should look like this on the right side, okay? So we're going to now just put that aside. We're gonna grab a 4-inch piece of cardboard, so it's 4 inches from there to there. I use this for my fringes on my moccasin slippers that I have on my website, or my YouTube channel. You can look for that if you wanna make some nice moccasins. We are going to take, I'm gonna just grab this yarn over here. We're going to take our yarn and we're going to put it on our cardboard. We don't need such a long one. You only need like a little piece actually. And we're going to wrap 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm counting because I want them both to be the same thickness. So that's 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. All right, I wrapped 100 times. So it's going to be a nice, beautiful tassel. From there, we are going to cut the bottom here. Oops, dropped my yarn strand. I'm going to cut off a length about 1 foot long. We're going to take our fringe and we're going to slide it off our cardboard just like that. Then we have like a little circle like that. We're going to take our end that we just cut off. We're going to pop it into that center, bring it out the other side, and we're going to tie it. I'm going to double strand that because this yarn isn't the strongest. You can use a different worsted weight yarn too if you want, but if you double it, it should be good. And then I'm going to take that and we're going to tie a knot. Yeah, double knot it or double strand it, and it's, if you're using this yarn, and it's way better. There we go. Just like that. Now you're going to grab another piece. About 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet long. We're going to put that in half. What I'm going to do from there is I'm going to set this on top just like that. I've got this in half. I got a loop on one side and 2 open ends on the other side. I'm going to put those open ends through the loop, bring this down, just like that. Get that out of the way. to the thickness that you want this to be. I like how that looks, and I'll measure it for you in a bit. And then you're going to pull it tight and go the opposite direction. And you're going to take both strands and you're going to just wrap it and wrap it and wrap it and wrap it, just like that. From there, I'm going to take the one strand, one of these two strands, I'm going to pop it on a needle. This is the closest one to me. It's a little bit big, but it's okay. We're going to make it work. I'm going to go underneath those strands and through, just with one of them, and through, just like that. Then I can take these two and I can tie a knot. Just like that, and they're not going anywhere. You can just let them fall. Okay, get those ones straightened out. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors, put them in that loop, pull down and cut. Put them in, pull down and cut. Pull down and cut. Pull down because you want them all the same length. When you can easily trim them after, as we all know, okay? Get them all there. Just like that. I'm going to give this a good shake. I'm going to trim this just a little bit. Cutting these two off, and some of the stragglers that look a little bit longer than they should be. There we go. We have a gorgeous tassel. We're going to use this to tie onto our piece. I'm going to make a second one. There you go. We have two very, very beautiful tassels. And I think they're nice if you can try to get the colors the same. And so it's about 1 inch from here to here, okay? If you need to have that information, okay? We're going to put our two strands on there. We're going to go through the point. Oops. Through the point, just like that, to the other side. And we're going to tie a knot, or 2 or 3. Just like that. And it's hanging there. I'm gonna go ahead, put this onto my needle and hide it up into the work, or you can hide it down into the fringe. That works too. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Put that on your needle, go right into the top there and down through your fringe and out. There we go. I'm gonna actually do that with both of them. Then I'm gonna attach that one to that side, and there you have it. There you go, friends. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I absolutely love this scarf. You know, there's so much beauty in it. The texture, the color combinations, the way it graduates from one color to the next. The feel of the yarn is absolutely gorgeous. I love the width that the 40 needle makes. There's just so much about it that I absolutely love, and I hope that you do as well. Can't wait to see the color choices that you make. Please don't forget to show me your projects in my Facebook group. The link will be in the description box below, as well as all the particulars for the yarn. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed making one of these scarves. Be sure and check out the video on the matching beanie. Take care, friends. Have a blessed day.